Back in June of 2017, I was arrested on my birthday, the day before, day after, because my ex had come up to the house and started an argument about whether or not she could just take my 12-pack of beer I had in the refrigerator like she had many times before. And I said no. And as I grabbed my beer and started to leave, because I'm not going to argue with her, she's dangerous when she's on the benzoids, I started towards the door, and she jumps on my back. So I shouldered like that to get her off of me, and she fell. And she fell face first right in front of my steps over here and left a handprint on the wall. I left because she started screaming and shit. And so when I did, I went to Jason Wood's house on 48. And then I went to Dave Foster's house, and Katie Lynch asked me to take her to Walmart. And I came back, and then I came home. And the police knocked on the door, and when they did, they came inside, and they arrested me. And I had less than 3 grams of speed in my pocket. So I went to jail for the first time in my life. When I got there was a large representation of the white supremacist type people that her brother hangs around because he gets his drugs from Bobby and Ralph over in Franklin, Ohio. While I was in there was a guy in there who was my bunkmate. He said, I represent Butler County, and I'm here to help you. And I said, okay. And he said, the king doesn't want you around his princess. So, in order to get back with the princess, the king requests you go make wine in Mara, referring, I would think, to Richard Kilburn, the judge, and telling on blacks, which is something that was proposed to me by Adam Hall of 2930 Overture Drive in Centerville, Ohio. I declined. You can look and see my rap sheet from that point on. And remember, that's the first time I ever had any issues, except for a DUI once. I was represented by Charles Slicer III out of 4th Street in Dayton, Ohio. So, as time went on, I got out of jail there after he told me the story. My dad bailed me out. And I had some litter patrol I needed to do. So when I think it was June 19th to 20th, I go out on litter patrol. And while I'm out there, they pull up to the Cedars Creek Beach on 73. And then we came down to Waynesville. And they parked in front of my father-in-law's house. And I told the gentleman, it wasn't Dave Barton, the supervisor, it was his buddy. I said, I'm not allowed to be here. And they said, why not? I said, because I'm 500 feet from my in-laws and they got a temporary protection order. He said, you're allowed to be here today. And he pointed out the door and said, get out. And when I did, I was looking at the very spot that Warren County Probation Officer Charles Morgan told me that they buried a black who was murdered during the civil rights in the 1960s. I used to run the cemetery across the street from my in-laws, and I got really scared because you don't understand how heavy the presence is down here of the Ku Klux Klan. When I did my litter patrol, we ended up going to Clear Creek Township's maintenance barns. And the guy said, you want to smoke? I said, yeah. He said, go behind the barns here because there ain't no cameras. And then they had a large representation. And one of them said, I sell drugs for Mikey Armwine, and I'm getting ready to go to prison. And he looked just like Chris Shires. So I said, well, hell, we're in trouble here because I know Mikey Armwine. His father killed a man once, and that was over in Franklin, Carlisle area at the hideout. I think it was 1987, and his name is Glenn Binge. And the reason they killed him was because he stole a diamond ring from his uncle, J.D. They're all related to the Hillards and Alexanders of Franklin. So it got sick in a hurry, And I've been tormented by these biker types ever since, including our mayor, who actually outranks him on a national chapter. His nephew said he was a national chapter outlaw. Sean Arnold, who lives on Old Stage Road, is a 50-year member of the Outlaws, and he said, no, Eric's wrong. He's a 50-year member of the Outlaws. I tell him he is. And he said, I'll put my patch on it, Rodney. His uncle, our mayor, is a national chapter Iron Horseman. I'm going down there on Thursday to talk to him. I'll ask him what the problem is. And ever since then, things really got heated up. So I started telling on these people. I started telling on them for the murders they committed. I started telling on them for their drug and prostitution activity. And I've even sent it out to Dave Yost. So I don't know how far these white supremacist Trump supporters go, but it must be pretty damn big. Because I can't even get a judge to reply to me on how much it'll cost me to divorce this crazy woman. Now, her dad was Wayne Township's trustee for a long time, and he's got some questionable real estate adventures, and I've been telling on him too. They go to lunch all the time. I've got other broadcasts about it on my YouTube at Broadcast with the American Flag, about Mayor Sanders. I've got one that's in memory of Judge Heath, which is where I was approached about this stuff before. But if anybody wants to help me, especially a journalist or a newscast person, I've got the biggest civil rights story you've ever seen right here in Waynesville, Ohio. And I'll back it up with the rejection for a mayor's memorial who was black and Democrat and won in a heavily Republican